Okay, good. Good morning, everyone. It's Ron. Uh, we'll go ahead and get started this morning. And we talked about a lot of things yesterday. We were talking about current events. Of course, we were still talking about the convention, but we talked about the actions of a 14-year-old as well. And we answered some questions about that. We we talked about what innocence looks like in the earth and being glorified. We talked about the Father and Son. We talked about several things related to that. And when we do that, we're attempting to look at things from a spiritual perspective. So but I want to kind of go in a direction yesterday. I want about yesterday, and then I'm gonna see if I got questions. But uh on yesterday, when we finished, Linda, are you on? Linda Smith,
Yes.
how you doing this
Uh-huh.
morning? I just want to
I'm good.
again,
How are you?
I'm doing great. I just want to thank you for bringing that up. I want to talk about it in part this morning, but not the event itself, but what the energy of it, okay? So I just wanted to make you aware of it because I still didn't get a chance to look at it, but because I'm at the place sometimes I can't read that stuff. It bothers me a little bit. So I haven't
Yeah.
looked at it yet. But here's what happened to me yesterday, and I want to ask you guys questions about it as well. Uh, our discussion yesterday, I thought went extremely well. And I didn't realize where the elevated place that had taken me until Linda revealed what she revealed. And it was almost like I hit a brick wall. And I did not, as quickly, I did not let myself go into a downward spiral because normally I'd get extremely angry in a situation like that. But I didn't. But I felt it coming on. I said, no, I'm not. Just relax. We're not going to go there, is what I said to myself. And but I was surprised at the rapid change that I felt. Did any of you guys feel that way too? Because I like to talk about that this morning a little bit. Because I think that happened for a reason. I think that's a message. And I like to talk about it if you guys did that happen to anybody else? What did you feel from that yesterday?
Ron, this is Vermont. I need a little clarity. Are we referring to the the lynching that Linda talked about
Yes,
yesterday?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All
I'm
right.
sorry. I did a poor job of explaining that. Yes, we're
No,
talking
you
about,
didn't. Okay.
yeah. Was I the only
Good
one
morning, Ron.
yes,
And
ma'am.
no, no, this is Evelyn. I was hurt and it touched me very deeply because that 21-year-old, that was my son.
Yeah.
I felt that that 21-year-old was my son. And did it hurt? Yes. But I know that things happen for a reason in the universe. And my son always told me, Orion always told me, Mom, it's so much, not always told me, but he lives in North Carolina. He said, Mom, there's so much racism up here in these mountains. He said, you wouldn't believe it. And he tell me the story. They're very disrespectful. It's just a European mindset up there. For some reason, there's a stronghold up there, up in those mountains. I don't know why, but I hear from him all the time. And he talks to me because he has to release and tell me what's happening so he won't get caught up in the racism and being mad and angry. So it hurt. When I saw it, it hurt. But that brought light to that area and North Carolina in general. The exposure was there. now that the media and everyone is covering it now, I feel a little better about it, but that's my son driving that truck. And when I heard it was a truck driver, I thought about George and all those other men that are on the road. It seems like sometimes they're not safe, and it hurts. That's all I wanted to say about that. Thank you for
I
giving me the
appreciate,
time to express.
yes, ma'am. I appreciate your honesty. That's where I was wanting to go with it anyway. The fact that we're bringing light to it. That's thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
Ron,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. When I read this is Linda.
Hey, Linda.
I was like Evelyn. It just tugged at my heart to know that this was the biggest cover up because first of all, they said he was sitting down under a tree with a rope around his neck. How would you hang yourself if they said it wasn't a lynching, that, it was suicide? But he went to Walmart and bought a rope, but he went to Walmart to drop off a load that he was carrying. So if I'm going to hang myself with a rope, how did I hang myself sitting down under a tree? So it's just a big cover up, and the layers are going to have to come off.
Yeah,
And that's
I agree. I agree. Thank you. Let me read something to you here. That I'm trying to what I was hoping to do, and I want you guys to express yourself, especially your feelings on it. But I want to talk about a solution. And the solution is not so much that I have an answer to what happened, but a solution is how we react to things and what our responsibilities are. Uh, because I think for us, you guys, a couple of you guys had heard it before we got on the line, but for those of us who hadn't, I think it was definitely an eye opener. Not that we don't know those things happen because they do, but the timing of it kind of jolted me, for lack of a better term. I'm gonna read something out from the scriptures, and then I wanna talk about Mayop for just a minute. Uh, this is Genesis 4, starting with verse 25. Adam had relations with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth. For she said, God has appointed me another offspring in the place of Abel, for Cain killed him. Uh, Two things in this jumped out at me. Uh, I'm looking at duality. And we've talked about this a number of times. And last time I talked, we brought this up. I remember Barb really doing an excellent job of explaining this. But I see it again from the perspective of Mayot and talking about this. And I'm looking at what is it that Seth replaced? Because in the next chapter, it talks about Seth. And when it talks about Adam, it no longer talked about Cain or Abel. So what did he replace? The two things that jump out on me, it says, or God appointed me another offspring in place of Abel. Place means underneath. So underneath Abel, or which has something which speaks to us again. It's telling you that, talking about the energy, or the principle of, and Abel means to appoint something with intent. With intent. So I wanna look at that and kind of use that to kind of sum things up in the end when we looking at this. And I was hoping to talk about Mayot a little bit as we go through this. But anyone else? I hope this isn't. I hope I'm not being confusing.
Yeah, good morning, Ron.
Ron, this
Yeah, I yield. Yeah, go ahead.
just a bit more information, George. This is Barbara. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This man was found in a county called Vance County in Hendersonville, North Carolina. J.D. Vance, Vance County.
Ah,
That's all I have to add.
okay. Wonder what that name means. Anybody looked up Vance, the origin of it? Anyway, uh, George.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. This is again GC in Philly, and I just wanted to respond to a word that I heard this morning when the when it was mentioned cover up.
Yeah,
We've talked about, discussed, meditated on truth coming to the light. And I think in this cover up, we're beginning to see not just social media, but if you look at, CNN or NBSB or any of those channels, it's more things coming to the light that are being discussed, which empowers us because we know that we have relatives or we have persons who have to live through this journey of entanglements or in terms of, those things that cause pain. But I think the healing is taking place because we have an opportunity to stand in the gap, in those situations that we can to bring awareness. And so when I hear the word cover up, I think that, again, we're now experiencing more on a platform where we're able to have these discussions and being able to appreciate that, yeah, truth crushed to the ground shall rise. And I think that we are now experiencing the hope of us being the voice in time of need, that's able to bring, again, that awareness to situations that we encounter or face. So when I heard the word cover up, I just, truly believe that it's being put out there in the macro now, and us just being aware and paying attention to how we can bring, again, that awareness, I think is important. So I really appreciate, what I've heard this morning. I want to share those thoughts. I'm done.
thank you, sir. Um, that is a beautiful segue into where I was going. Uh, because we are on this journey, we are, in a spiritual sense, uncovering everything. We're uncovering it. And it's no coincidence that on yesterday that Linda brought that up for that very reason. It cannot be hidden. It cannot be hidden. There is a word, I said to myself yesterday, I said, what does this have to do with us? Why did that happen at that time? Why was that announced? And not only were we to discuss it, I was looking at something about Mayot, and I saw something. There is a word, and I'm going to mess it up. It's Ifet, ISFET, ISFET. It is the dual word that opposes Mayot. And that's why I mentioned earlier this morning duality and kind of get Barb's attention to some of the things she pointed out last time. If it means to be in a dark place or a place of unknown or disorder, it means to cause confusion. It means to be unjust. So now go back and you are to become Mayat. Mayat is is the source of life. It is who you are. It is not something you practice. But if you back up and look at how when this was going on, you had Pharaoh. One of Pharaoh's main responsibilities was Ifit. to make sure that there was no chaos, to make sure that there was always understanding, to make sure that things were always in order and had things we need. Now, keep in mind something Pastor said on yesterday. The Pharaoh was appointed by the priesthood, and the priesthood included feminine energy, included women. So one of his responsibilities was to make sure that there was balance. So the incorporating of the Mayat principles is going back to the education or the spoon feeding of each and every citizen from childhood. This is who you are. This is not something that I memorize. It is who you are. So what Mayat incorporated the whole universe, and so what they recognized is when you see the whole universe, you understand that things happen and that may seem to be out of order, but they are in order. Like, for example, it was not a big deal to them, and I don't know a better way of putting it, when they saw a realignment of the stars or when they saw something celestial happen. They knew these things happened. When they saw the Nile overflow, they knew these things happened. But the instilled chaos that brought on by an individual or by mankind, by mistreatment, by that kind of thing is what was unjust. Are you understanding what we're saying? So this duality was seen as necessary. Now, what am I saying in essence here? I'm saying if we could see all this from a spiritual perspective and understand that I am not only Pharaoh, I am the priesthood. I am the energy that feeds this. I am the energy of the universe that brings about this order to everything. Then this thing that happened is not only our responsibility, it happened so that we can further bring balance to what's going on in the universe. I hope I'm making sense. Anybody want to help me with that, or anybody see anything else in this?
That makes sense.
Okay. So Mayat talks about overcoming evil and overcoming those things that are difficult and that seems out of order. And it was recognized. It was recognized that it was not only everybody's responsibility, every citizen's responsibility, but every citizen was equally responsible for learning it, for knowing it. And so the looking at, we think of duet or the place of death, and Mayat being pictured with the feather as weighing the heart. That is not just in death. That is who we are daily. I weigh my heart daily. Is my heart as light as a feather? Am I guiltless in my thoughts and in my belief? So when I saw this, and it made me think again of duality and the purpose of it. And that's why I liked Seth. I looked at Seth because Seth, not only, as she says, takes the place of Abel, he also takes the place of Cain. So what does that mean? And I said Seth means to be intentional, to place or to appoint something. Okay. And in place of, I said place means to be beneath or under something. So it is under the principle. It stands on the principle that Abel represents. And Abel represents that is not that which is not measured. I give you all of me. I give you the best part of me. I give you that part of my spirit gives to your spirit. We are one. We are not divided. And which is Mayah. There is no division. Every rock, every branch, every tree, everything is a part of creation. This book I'm reading says God in Mayah in Kemetic term, God meaning the totality of creation itself. You are God. You are the house of all that is created. So I agree with everything that's been said. And like I said, I'm just being truthful about it. That thing kind of jolted me yesterday, and I knew that it meant something. And I hope this is helping. If not, somebody else talk for a minute and see. Let's talk about this and see what you see.
Yeah, good morning, Ron. No, this is truly, again, blessing to connect the word of God and to be able to look at it from the accounts of creation. And so when we talk about it, looking at it from the holy books, which is an account that God created the heavens and the earth, that's one account. And then we can look at it from the Big Bang Theory when we talk about, again, evolution of mankind. And then the last account is the African ancient teachings of Cush and Kemet. Now, and what I'm saying is, just like you spoke about it in reference to utilizing the scriptures of Genesis, it's about the importance of us being able to appreciate words have power, just like perceptions have power. And I think what we're experiencing is like when we look at the 10 Commandments, we are given guidelines. We are giving commandments to live by, to understand, and to appreciate in terms of us looking at it in terms of principles. But then when we have Kemetic teachings, moral instructions, and spiritual teachings of Mayat, now we're going to the earliest writings in terms of morality and spirituality that gives us an even greater understanding of principles that we should be aware of. So I think that in looking at it from the holy books and looking at it from what was written in the earliest times of recordings, I think it's good to do that comparative analysis where we can begin to appreciate not a new way, but a foundation that was there from the origins of humanity, and now being able to appreciate those principles of truth, to appreciate those principles of justice, to appreciate those principles of balance, harmony, order, reciprocity, righteousness. And so I think that, again, when you speak of Mayat, or we speak about it in terms of just our awareness, it's something to really reflect on, because again, with the 42 laws, sometimes, I not struggle, but it makes me think about, I shall not waste water. Now that's something, that may be totally misunderstood, but I think, again, if I have water, for an example, and sometimes I might pour the water down a sink, but that plant needs water. So for me to, nurture that plant. So just thoughts that going through my mind. But Ron, I appreciate you bringing up the subject of those principles of Mayat. I'm done. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, George.
Ron.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, George.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about Mayat and the education, it's no different than training a child in where you would have to go, and he would not depart from it.
Yes.
It's from the earliest age of the children. That's the only thing they knew were the principles in Mayat. And the influences that made every effort to move them from that understanding and from what they had learned all their lives was the thing that brought about this instability. And that instability was not brought about by another religion being introduced, as much as it was brought about by a warring nature that invaded and begun to actually take the lives of people who refused
Yeah.
to walk away from the presence of God. For example, make me king, make me the Pharaoh, make me the Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh is God, without understanding that Pharaoh was not God. The representative, the power of God was in the priesthood. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. That feeds right into something else that I forgot to mention. I'm in the midst of just looking at buying stuff, and because I want to understand the educational system and how what was their intent. Because like, for example, they didn't just look at science and whatnot. It was taught that all of this is you, all of this is in you. All the things that we've looked at, whether it's the lining up of the planets or the age of Aquarius, all of this stuff that we call science that's out yonder, out way out there, is in you. And you are part of those movements. You are part of those actions. You are part of those portals being opened. And I want to study that from that perspective. But I read something that one writer said that I really, really liked. She said, well, when you study the 42 principles, take away the I, the letter I, and insert the letter EYE. I am fair to my man. I will not kill. In other words, it takes away the ego that Pastor was talking about. It takes out the greed. It takes out the self, and it makes it not only intuitive, but it makes me see the community, the nation. It makes me see who I truly am. And so when the other that goes along with the other thing she was trying to say, these things that we see, these things that are chaotic, what my emotions should respond to is the things George talked about: truth, justice, order, balance. So that, as I said yesterday, I didn't jump off the ship like I normally do in a situation like that. I took a breath and I sat there and I listened. But it did hit me like a ton of bricks. And I didn't realize where I was until I heard that. And it brought me to a place, and my thoughts were, here we go. It was not here we go again, but okay, why did this happen at this time? What do we do with it? We are at a place that we see ourselves more clearly. And I'm talking internally, I'm talking with that I, than we have ever done ever before this, since we've been on this phone, and maybe man in the earth at all. So these things come about, these things happen so that we can see them clearly and deal with them. We are capable of dealing with it.
Ron, this is Evelyn. I'm glad y'all kind of lost me there for a minute, because when you were talking about the young man that got hanged on yesterday or sometime this week, or hung, whatever the word is. But anyway, you lost me, and I just need clarity. I got a little bit of what you just said about the incident that happened, but when you went to Marriott and everything else, y'all lost me. So what I just need more. I need you to talk more about situations that's happening in the universe and what you just talked about. How does that deal with what? Maybe I missed it, and I go for that sometimes, but I don't know. Y'all lost me for a minute.
Okay,
and I just need more clarity on that.
Well, let's back up and you guys help me out. We okay. You're all right, Evelyn. All I'm saying is everything that happens is a part of Ma'at. See, when we read the 42 laws of Ma'at, we don't want to think that that's it. It's a lot. more to it than just like you hear people sometimes read the scripture and they can quote scripture. That's not what this is about. This is a way of life. And this is getting in touch with that soulful part of you, getting in touch with who you are. So when you are, as we started off saying, I can't remember, I think it was George, when he was talking about the uncovering of truth, that's what Mayad is about. It's the uncovering of truth so you can see who you truly are. So that's why I mentioned the cycles of things, the creation, you are God. You are everything that has been created, is what I'm saying. So the things that sometimes look chaotic, uh, to them was not chaotic because it was something that they did not get emotional about. It was something that they understood. They understood the stars. They understood that the now at certain times of the year was going to overflow. They understood sometimes that they would not get rain all the time. When expected. All these things were understood. So it was not the word not controlled, but understanding that I am the creator and I am one. What do I do? How do we move in the same direction? And then I mentioned Pharaoh, and as I was saying, what Pastor was talking about yesterday, Pharaoh was appointed by the priesthood. The priesthood was consisted of men and women. It understood the again the duality of that energy, and it's not a duality if you're working together. If you become one, it is no longer a duality. But they understood that principle. So he was only the voice of righteousness. He was the voice of truth. He was the voice of balance in the land. So he was responsible individually to making sure that everyone had what was needed, what was necessary to maintain their balance. Am I
Hey,
helping?
Ron,
Yes, sir. Somebody, you help me out, Pastor.
um, in relationship to the guy who was supposedly lynched in North Carolina, Mayot, the principles of Mayot remind us of who we are during times like that. Rather than get angry or bent out of shape because we hear of something like that, Mayot is what keeps us balanced and keeps us from going in a different direction. Yesterday, when Linda brought that up, it did not move me at all. It was the principles of Mayot that kept me stable. If I had gotten angry because of that, then I would have been deviating from the principles that I am, which are the principles of Mayot.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring stability not only to you as an individual, it also brings stability to the community. It brings stability to the nation because of how we embrace what is going on at that moment and how we respond to it, as opposed to reacting to it, or as opposed to using the same kind of energy to go after it in a negative way. Does that make sense, Evan?
It does, but I wasn't angry, but it hurt. And then I thought about it could have been for that guy to get lynched. That could have been his purpose to come here to the universe. I don't know. But it hurt me because I am a mother. So yeah, I felt hurt. It's like somebody kicked me in my stomach. And I, again, I hear all kinds of stuff, but I know that these things, I don't know. But thank you for clearing that up for me, Ron. But I have one more thing I want to say.
Evelyn, let me say
Hello,
something to that
everyone.
before you go further.
Okay.
It's not about the hurt. Yes, you were hurt, but you will not move from where you are in terms of your stability. A few weeks ago, a month ago, when we hear something like that, it was the first thing come to mind was, when is this going to stop? Or we need to do something about this retaliation type attitude. That doesn't mean you don't hurt. What I'm saying is you don't respond the same way that they would respond to you. Mayat keeps you focused as opposed to allowing you to go off on a tangent or allowing you to seek retaliation when when you should be understanding that this is energy that needs to be repurposed. And the only reason that it happened the way it did is when you repurpose this energy, it gives you a clearer view of the deity that you are. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does.
Hello, everyone. This is Sheldon. Right to interject right before you go to the next point, Evelyn, and to continue on this, I wanted to speak about what is being explained, what that looks like from a practical, I guess, standpoint, and more so of what I do. And first to say, in terms of you feeling hurt, like Pastor said, that is definitely understandable. Now, we talk about changing the energy, and we talk about coming at this or dealing with it from the Maya perspective, which we all are. It's not like there's some like practice or something that is beyond and separate from us. It is simply, in a sense, our Godship of who we are. Okay. Typically, when these types of situations happen, and this is a continuous practice or whatever in terms of myself, I would say going into, I'm gonna tell you what my prayer is, and of course what my meditation is, because I'm not actually praying words. One thing I definitely do in terms of the quote unquote victim is involved, I realize and understand that they're just a spirit, and this is not the end for them, and so not that it's just a sorrow thing that is happening. I hope them, in a sense, wish them well in terms of their transition, in a sense, to the next thing that is to come, and the transformation that is happening with them. In terms of the family and the loved ones involved, I actually, at the same time, hope and wish comfort and guidance towards them. But it doesn't just stop there in terms of, me just saying, quote unquote, for lack of better words, victims who this terrible thing has happened to. No. The other side of the situation, the part that actually causes me the most pain, but then even working beyond that, is the people who have showed some type of lack of love and compassion. I already know that the young man, or whatever, is part of the journey, this is part of growth, is not just a terrible thing in terms of his life wasn't lost in terms of maybe this physical realm, and I don't even want to say lost, he's no longer in that element, but this person does not cease to exist. Okay, so that's one. Now, the part in terms of the people, individuals, the spirit of confusion, strife, anger, whatever you want to call it, anything that just have gotten these people to a lack of compassion and love and that of the Creator, that this is an opportunity for them to grow. And not to see them in that point, try my best not to see them as that is a stagnant point where they cannot move from. They're simply at a stage and hoping that they too can take advantage of this opportunity or grow beyond that which they are currently at, and even trying to see them beyond that. But I try my best not to demonize those people, to actually see more in them and see them as I even see myself and incapable of doing what they're doing at the time, because even though they may not be able to see it or have no remotely understanding of that. And it is in that, which I just explained, is creating balance or bringing balance to a particular situation. We have not, in a sense, taken a picture of the incident with a camera and it's stuck, but within ourselves, we realize that this is only one quick point in a movie that is continuing to develop, in a sense. This is not the end of the story. And so we are acknowledging and saying and not looking at it
Beautifully said. Evelyn, I want to say this before you ask your next question, please, if you don't mind. What Sheldon just described is again something my thoughts get jumbled. I forget stuff. If you remember we did a lesson one time on the tree and the roots of the tree keeping the other trees alive. Who we are, and part of why it was necessary to hear that yesterday is we are the tree that is getting energy and growth and life from the sun, and is our roots. The part of Mayat talks about knowing how to control your emotions. So your emotions, as one of the things I gathered Sheldon said anyway, is your emotions are throughout all of this on both sides, the victim and, because both of them are victims, because I won't go in that, but you know what I'm talking about. Love, harmony, balance. So that is the emotion. Yes, it hurts and it bothers, but that is the most, and as the tree, as the roots, you know what that root needs. Love spreads throughout the earth, and who does it? It is only on the breath of man, on the breath of righteousness. So that is what we're doing, and that is just something that came to me when he said that. Reminded me of the tree.
Well, I just want to say I
Bottom line would
appreciate
be,
love.
Go ahead.
I think the bottom line would be is love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
Your neighbor is the one who did the lynching as one.
Yes.
I didn't hear him.
Pastor.
I said, love thy neighbor as thyself is the bottom line. And you love the one who got lynched as well as the one who did the lynching. That's your neighbor.
Okay. Can I respond now, Ron?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I appreciate you guys expressing love from 3 males. I appreciate that. And it kind of like y'all calmed me down because I was still feeling that feeling in my stomach. But anyway, I'm gonna make a point about something else, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But I just want Nick to know that I did watch that movie last night. The Rebel movie he was talking about. I'm gonna tell you what the name of it is. Rebel Ridge. I did watch that last night, and he was on point. The movie is on point with what's happening today. I'm not gonna tell it, but it is a good movie to watch. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. Y'all did bring me down. So I think I'm done.
Anyone else? Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Sheldon.
You're welcome.
I hope
Uh,
this. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The name Vance, they think it comes from one of 2 origins, either Scottish or English origin,
Okay.
from the Old English word meaning marsh, which is a low-lying area. And marsh is flooded in the wet season, or it's flooded at high tide, and it typically remains waterlogged all the time. But it's another way of saying it's an area of transition from land to water. And so if you look at land and think about consciousness, or you look at water and you think about land, earth consciousness, and water, spiritual consciousness, it's that duality that you were talking about. There's the opportunity, there's a good reason for the flooding, particularly if you're in India and you rely on that flooding yearly to bring nutrients, et cetera, so that the rice or your crop or whatever can grow. And on the other hand, there's a good reason not to have the flooding, so that you can harvest when you need to, blah, blah, blah. So part of what we've been talking about is whatever happens, bringing the light out of it, showing the light, exposing the light in it. And what I hear everybody saying is, even in the transition of this young man, the way that he transitioned, whether it was lynching, which is what his family believes. While lynching has that really negative way, why did he have to die this way? Sheldon put it in a broader perspective that the energy never died. That's what he was essentially saying. It transitions to another form. And so there's a reason that the entity of that young man was shared by Linda, so that we can pull out the light of Mayat and what all of that means, and how everything rebalances itself when we bring the balance to it, when we think of it from the perspective of light rather than just the negativity. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Sheldon again. Thank you for adding that for sure. Now, as it relates, you talk about the flooding, and George GC talking earlier today about the cover-up. Many times that we've been taught to do this, where we judge circumstances by whatever has taken place from a physical aspect, and we view that as being that which is most important. But in terms of a flood or an uncovering, the things that we're talking about, we talk about from a spiritual nature, that we talk about every week, multiple times a week, go beyond, or they come prior to any physical manifestation. So these acts that we see that we don't agree with, that we view as being negative, et cetera, it is the thing within individuals that cause these things, and the physical act is only a result of that which is within. And the thing that we're concerned with, and the things that we're working on ourselves, the things that we're working on in bringing into this earth, is that which takes place from within. That act, that was just like I said, a physical manifestation, but in a sense that had to come out so that it could be addressed from the inner standpoint. That if that makes any sense. So every time something happens that is terrible, it is simply a result of, if you want to say it on a broad term, the condition, even if it's in part, that man and woman is actually dealing with. So to understand that and look at that as the focus and see that that is being addressed, and that is the thing that we're actually changing, and we're infusing or help to infuse with compassion even with ourselves, will also help to be able to, I'm not going to say deal with these circumstances, but to apply balance to these situations, and more so see and walk into the broader picture of what is actually taking place. And when it gets to that point, I'm not going to say you like necessarily get excited, but you see the transformation that is taking place, and it doesn't even bring you down. You actually see the work that is actually taking place when these incidents actually happen. And you see compassion prevailing. I'm finished.
Thank you, sir.
I have a comment. This is Audrey. Good morning.
Morning, Audrey.
I think we always have to be mindful too that as long as we are in the earth trying to bring balance, there's always the other side, which is trying to create chaos. And I think it's the chaotic energy, not individuals, but that chaotic energy that we have to bring balance to. Because there's always going to be resistance to, because of the duality, there's always going to be resistance to us trying to bring balance. And speaking of flooding, in ancient Egypt, the river always flooded. Even today, it floods. But they had a system to bring balance to that. They expected it, and they had a system to bring balance to that. So we ourselves we just need to remind ourselves of who we are and the fact that even though we're trying to bring balance, there's always going to be some kind of resistance to that. Anyway, thanks.
Beautifully said, Audrey, because that was the word I introduced in the beginning is ISFET, ISFET. The river is going to flood, and it is expected, and we are prepared to bring balance to it, to use it to the advantage of the people who may need the extra water or whatever it was used for. So beautifully said, because that darkness, that disorder, it's going to bubble over, and that is why we are here to bring balance to it. So yes, yes, sometimes the lessons are hard to see, are hard to learn, and I guess primarily speaking for me right now, but this is coming together beautifully, and I love the growth. And as I said yesterday, I didn't spill over, but it did stop me in my tracks, and made me take notice. But I'm sure it's not over yet. We're going to hear more details about it, but appreciate the response to it and the discussion. Anyone else? Any other? Well, let's do that first. Is there anyone else? Any other questions or comments on this matter?
Ron, this is Evelyn again.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys say that the more enlightenment in the earth, the more things that will be exposed. So I see that there is more enlightenment in the earth, and we are becoming more aware of it. But you guys, we were talking about love this morning, and I don't know if y'all heard about this, but Frankie Beverly had passed. And the more I listened to his songs, the more what he talked about, and what he's one of the singers that put out love. I mean, now that I see what's happening, the more I'm looking into the lyrics of his songs. They were love songs, but when you're young, you don't pay what he's saying too much attention. You just getting in the groove, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, he passed, and that hurt too as well. Somebody singing something positive for mankind. Another one has left the universe physically, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because he always talked about love, the time of the day, all kind of good stuff. George, I know you can relate. But anyway, yeah, because we listen to music. And I know a lot of you on the line listen to music as well, but that just kind of moved me a little bit too, but in a good way. I just know this, but yeah, I just want to put that out there. He always talked about love. I'm done for today, I think.
Thank you, Evelyn. Yeah, you're right. I was a fan of his as well. I used to love Frankie Beverly. So he lives through his music.
Amen.
Now, this was on me today to talk about this, and I neglected to say at the beginning, do you have any questions on any other topic or anything else? I don't want to leave without asking that question. Is there something that that you may have a question or comment on that we hadn't discussed yet? Remind me when Evelyn said that about Frankie Beverly. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. If there are no further questions, I hope this made sense. If not, jot your question or comments down if you will, and we will continue until we bring clarity to it, okay? But if there's nothing else, that's all I have for today, unless someone else has something else. Okay. Enjoy your day. Thank you. See you tomorrow evening at 6.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, family.
Have a good evening.